Welcome to Echoes of the Past, where history isn't just old, it's oddly fascinating.
From forgotten facts to bizarre backstories, we dig into the dusty corners of time
So
so
you
you
don't
don't have
have
to.
to. I'm Jody Lynn, your amateur historian and full-time trivia hoarder.
And I'm Ephraim, here for the facts and the fun.
So let's rewind the clock and press play on the past. I do want to say that this is going to be a very heavy episode again. This episode does contain detailed discussions of homicide, sexual violence, stalking, and victimization. It is intended for mature audiences and may be distressing. So please take care while listening, and if this isn't something that you're into, don't feel bad to skip to the next one, and we'll see you later. So, last episode, we talked about a few different serial killers that were big, for instance, like Jack the Ripper, H.H. Holmes, and things like that, and we're going to continue on that same track. Starting first off with Charles Manson and the Manson family that was in California in August of 1969. The Manson family, which was a commune, a gang, and a cult, was led by Charles Manson and thrived in California during the late 1960s and early 1970s, peaking with around 100 followers or members. Composed mostly of young women from middle-class families drawn in by the hippie movement and Manson's radical teachings, they adopted a lifestyle characterized by heavy drug use, particularly amphetamines and LSD. The group is notorious for committing at least 9 murders, with estimates suggesting as many as 24. Manson, released from prison in 1967 after a lifetime institutionalization, initially garnered followers in the San Francisco Bay Area before relocating to the Spahn Ranch in Los Angeles County. Members believed Manson embodied Jesus Christ and adhered to his apocalyptic prophecies of a coming race war in 1969, high-profile murders, including that of actress Sharon Tate and her guests, marked the group's most heinous acts, followed by the killing of Leno and Rosemary LaBianca. The family engaged in various criminal activities, including assaults and theft, culminating in an assassination attempt on President Gerald Ford in 1975 by member Lynette Squeaky Fromme. Notable members included Susan Atkins, Bobby Busalet. How do you say that?
Boselli, well, I don't know if I
It's a
know.
lot of letters.
A lot of people and their weird last names.
Patricia Krenwinkel and Tex Watson. After his parole, Manson settled in Berkeley, forming a commune with Mary Brunner, who became the mother of his son Valentine Michael. What a name. He soon attracted a larger group of followers in the Hot Ashbury district, developing a cult-like status. Manson's philosophy echoed elements from the Process Church of the Final Judgment, asserting that his followers were the reincarnation of early Christians while depicting mainstream society as oppressive Romans. I didn't think depicting was the right word there for a second. By late 1967, the family traveled in a modified bus and eventually found homes in various Los Angeles neighborhoods. Manson showcased a charismatic persona, adept at manipulating individuals' weaknesses. Notably, he befriended musician Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys, leveraging the relationship to gain further resources for his followers, ultimately leading to significant financial strain on Wilson. Manson's interactions included larger circles within the entertainment industry, influencing figures like producer Gary Stromberg and securing recording opportunities. While Manson gained notoriety for his philosophy and lifestyle, he ultimately orchestrated a series of tragic events that revealed the darker side of his influence over the vulnerable individuals in his community. In August 1968, Charles Manson and his family settled at the Spahn Ranch, a rundown Western movie set in California. Manson's group lived there rent-free, performing chores and, at times, engaging with George Spahn, the ranch's nearly blind owner, in a way that would keep their living arrangement intact. Male members, like Charles Watson, joined the group, and soon their activities began shifting towards the more darker paths. On March 23, 1969, Manson visited the house of film director Roman Polanski, searching for music producer Terry Melcher. When he encountered Iranian photographer Shahrokh Hatami, who was documenting actress Sharon Tate, Manson pretended to be looking for someone while actually sizing up the scene. Manson departed but returned later that evening, trying to glean further information from the guest house owner, Wojciech Frykowski. Feeling unwelcome, he left again. Tension escalated at Spawn Ranch when Tex Watson, involved in drug dealing, found himself at odds with drug dealer Bernard Latsopapa Crow, resulting in a confrontation where Manson shot Crow. Fearing retaliation from gangs, including the Black Panthers, Manson fortified the ranch with security from motorcycle gang members. A significant incident occurred with Gary Heineman, a UCLA music teacher who had befriended some family members. Manson believed Heineman had inherited a fortune, and on July 25, 1969, Bustaleo and two women went to Heineman's residence demanding money. After a harrowing two-day hostage situation during which Manson slashed Heineman's ear with a sword, ear, same damage, I guess, Bustaleo killed Heineman and left a blood message on the wall invoking the Black Panthers. The events culminated in the infamous Tate LaBianca murders, and on the night of August 8, 1969, Manson sent Watson along with Atkins, Kasabian, and Krenwinkel to the former home of Melcher. These are some weird last names, guys. They brutally murdered 5 people, including the pregnant Sharon Tate, leaving a blood message on the door. The following night, Manson directed another group to the home of Leno and Rosemary LaBianca, where after binding the couple, they stabbed them to death and wrote messages on the walls in blood. These murders shocked the nation, propelling Manson and his followers into the media spotlight as representations of a counterculture gone awry, culminating in their eventual arrest and trials that exposed the culture of fear and manipulation Manson had cultivated among his followers at Spawn Ranch. In 1971 trial, Charles Manson was convicted of the murders of Gary Hinman and Donald Shorty Shea, receiving a life sentence. Shea, a stuntman and horse wrangler at Spawn Ranch, was killed about 10 days after a sheriff's raid on the ranch, which Manson suspected Shea had helped instigate. Manson believed Shea was attempting to convince George Spawn to evict the family from the ranch and may have considered it sinful due to Shea's interracial marriage. Manson's followers, Bruce Davis and Steve Clem Grogan, were also convicted in separate trials. In 1977, Grogan revealed the location of Shea's intact remains, leading to their recovery. Manson and his followers faced 9 counts of first-degree murder, but LAPD suspected many unaccounted victims, potentially 12 or more. Former LAPD Detective Cliff Shepard noted Manson's claims to have committed numerous murders, and prosecutor Stephen Kay mentioned Manson boasting of 35 murders, and Deborah Tate indicated the investigations just scratched the surface, suggesting Manson sent taunting messages that could lead to buried victims, sparking excavations at Barker Ranch but yielding no results. Nancy Warren and Clyde Dulaney were found murdered in 1968 in Ukiah, California. Although Manson family members had been in the area, nobody was charged with their murders. Marina Habe, 17, was killed in December 1968. Her autopsy revealed several injuries, and conjecture linked her to the family as a possible victim. Darwin Morrell Scott, Manson's uncle, was found murdered in May 1969, with a local claiming to have seen a man resembling Manson nearby shortly after the murder. Before Waltz, a family acquaintance, was found shot dead in July 1969 after hitchhiking to fish at Santa Monica Pier. Though investigations followed, no charges were ever made. John Philip Hott, a newcomer to the family, died in November 1969 under suspicious circumstances while playing Russian roulette, despite evidence suggesting foul play. Then James Sharp and Doreen Gall were stabbed to death in November 1969, drawing police attention due to similarities with the Tate LaBianca killings. Reet Jurvetson was found with over 150 stab wounds, with similarities noted to other murders, yet no connections were confirmed. Joel Pugh, a family member, died in December 1969 under ambiguous circumstances, labeled as a drug-induced suicide, despite speculation about Manson's possible involvement.
Moral of the story is that they could have killed a lot more people than what they were charged for.
For real. So, the LaBianca crime scene was uncovered by Frank Struthers, who, upon returning from camping on August 10th, noticed suspicious signs and discovered his stepfather Leno's body inside the house. Following this, the police found Rosemary's body. Meanwhile, on August 12th, the LAPD announced that the Tate and LaBianca homicides were unrelated. A search on August 16th at Spawn Ranch led to Manson's arrest for auto theft, but due to a warrant issue, he and others were released. And of course, despite initially working separately, detectives investigating the LaBianca murders later discovered potential links to other crimes, including the Hinman case, and information from arrest records of Manson's family's associates. Of course, further follow-ups also indicated connections through interviews with Susan Atkins, revealing her involvement in the Hinman murder while detained in Sybil Brand Institute. This led to the issuance of arrest warrants on December 1st, 1969, for suspects included in both Tate and LaBianca cases, while physical evidence continued to emerge, notably the recovery of the .22 caliber revolver linked to the parents' murder. The prosecution built its case around the detailed recollections provided by Kasabian, contrasting with the charges against other defendants based on varying levels of participation in the murders. The proceedings were marked by chaotic courtroom behavior, reflecting the extreme nature of the crimes and personalities involved in the Manson family saga.
Stop being dramatic.
The prosecution contended that Charles Manson aimed to instigate a helter-skelter scenario, linking this to motivations behind the Tate LaBianca murders. The victims' surroundings featured the words pigs and helter-skelter scrawled in blood by Susan Atkins, referencing a Beatles song. The defense argued that these inscriptions mimicked a previous murder scene instead of indicating an intended race war. Manson's orders to associate the crime with racial tension were highlighted despite contradictory testimony regarding the crime scene and wallet placement following the murders. The courtroom did endure continuous upheaval, with Manson's followers lurking outside wearing identifying symbols and carrying knives, attempting to intimidate prosecution witnesses were made. That didn't make sense at all. Ex-family member Barbara Hoyt, who had been coerced and drugged, later became a key witness against Manson, revealing his manipulating influence. On January 25, 1971, a jury found all 4 female defendants guilty on multiple counts. During penalty phase deliberations, the defendants propagated a copycat defense, attributing their crimes to mimicry, aiming to shield Manson. However, inconsistencies weakened their case, failing to clarify prior associations with the slaying of Gary Hinman. In 1996, a Manson fan website was initiated by George Stimson and Sandra Good, who was released in 1985. Bobby Buscellil, also a former Manson associate, claimed in a 1998 interview that Manson didn't order him to kill Gary Hinman, despite previously denying Manson's involvement. William Garrettson, once a caretaker at Cielo Drive, indicated he had witnessed aspects of the Tate murders, which matched prior polygraph results, clearing him as a suspect. Susan Atkins, diagnosed with brain cancer in 2008, was denied compassionate release and paroled for the first time shortly before her death. In 2008, forensic investigators searched Barker Ranch for potential human remains influenced by legends of the family's violent past. Digging revealed no human remains, despite initial recommendations for excavation. A History Channel docudrama aired in 2009, featuring the interviews with key figures, coinciding with the 40th anniversary of the murders. Charles Manson died on November 19, 2017, at the age of 83. Bobby Buscellil was denied parole in 2019, while Leslie Van Houten was paroled on July 11, 2023. So basically, essentially, Manson died, Bobby died, what was her name? Susan Atkins died, and I believe most of the other ones died. Leslie Houghton, as far as I know, is still alive and just roaming the streets, and I think that is really weird. So, with the Manson family, do you think that really started bringing the cults into focus more in media? Or do you think people already knew that they were kind of there and just kind of ignoring the cults?
I think it was probably kind of spurred, like the whole occult thing in the 70s. Or occult thing, not occult. Just on top of all the other things going on at the time, I guess.
All the massive amount of serial killers going around.
All the serial killers, all the cults, all the other people being stupid.
Child murderers. Child thieves.
Just 70s and 80s were a wild time,
They were rough. They were rough for the American people. I don't know about everybody else, but like, they were on some shit. Probably all the drugs.
Probably. I always think it's funny too. Like people will go or glorize is not a word. Be like, oh, the 70s and 80s were a better time, and blah 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 blah. It's like, no, you guys had like a bazillion freaking murderers running around,
Yup.
a bunch of cults running around killing people. Like
It was not great.
It was not great. It was not that good.
So when this kind of came up, do you think that they should have let these people out on parole?
No.
I found it very weird that they let quite a few people on parole. Like Grogan was paroled in 1985. Oh, excuse me. Let's see who else. Squeaky got paroled in 2009, even though she was the one who tried to assassinate President Ford.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, like I said, Leslie Van Houten was paroled in 2023. I understand she's like in her 70s or 80s now, but still.
Cats, I swear to God.
I don't think that people who do this should be paroled.
No.
I don't care how long it's been or how reformed you think these people are. I don't think it should be paroled. So, next, after that, you're going to lead us into the Zodiac Killer.
The Zodiac Killer, Northern California in the late 60s, early 70s.
Of course it is.
Who would have guessed? The Zodiac Killer was an unidentified serial killer active in Northern California during the late 1960s and early 70s. He officially linked to 5 murders between 1968 and 1969, though he claimed responsibility for 37 victims.
Jeez.
The killer's modus operandi involved attacking couples in secluded areas, often at night, and then sending taunting letters and cryptic ciphers to local newspapers, including the San Francisco Chronicle, San Francisco Examiner, and the Vallejo Times-Herald. His first cipher, the Z408 cipher, in 1969. In July, the Zodiac sent a 408-character cipher to the newspapers. The cipher was quickly solved by a school teacher and his wife, Donald and Betty Harden, within a week.
Dang.
The decoded message was a taunting note from the killer boasting about his crimes and threatening more violence. The Z340 cipher in 1969 was a more complex cipher sent in November and remained unsolved for 51 years. It consisted of 340 characters arranged in a 20 by 17 grid. Despite numerous attempts by amateur and professional cryptographers alike, the cipher's meaning eluded experts for decades. In December 2020, a term of 3 cryptographers, David
Oronchek.
Jarl. I guess.
Skyrim.
Jarl Van
Eyck? We'll go with Eyck.
From Belgium and Sam Blake from Australia finally cracked the Z340 cipher. Their solution was confirmed by the FBI and revealing a chilling message from the Zodiac Killer. The message read, "I hope you're having lots of fun trying to catch me. That wasn't me on the TV show, which brings up a point about me. I am not afraid of the gas chamber because it will send me to paradise all the sooner because I now have enough slaves to work for me where everyone else has nothing when they reach paradise. So they are afraid of death. I am not. An easy one in paradise, death."
All right.
This message is consistent with the Zodiac's previous communication, showcasing his arrogance and desire for attention. It's also a references a TV appearance, which some believe was a 1969 broadcast where a man claiming to be the Zodiac called in. Suspects and theories. Over the years, several individuals have been considered suspects in the Zodiac case. Arthur Leigh Allen.
I've heard of that one.
A convicted child molester who was the prime suspect for many years. He was never charged due to lack of concrete evidence, though he remains a person of interest. Gary Francis Post, a deceased convicted killer who was suggested as a suspect by a group of independent investigators known as the Case Breakers. They claimed that Post's name was hidden in the Z340 cipher and his shoe size matched descriptions of the Zodiacs. However, this theory has not been officially confirmed. Despite these theories, the true identity of the Zodiac Killer remains unknown.
And one of the conspiracies about that is that it's the senator dude.
Yeah, Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
Even though he was like
5
at the time, or however old he is. I don't know. I think it's funny too that he acknowledged the meme.
Yeah.
He's like, I am not the Zodiac Killer.
I was only like 5.
But everyone's like, nah, you're the Zodiac Killer. You did it.
You went back in time.
The FBI continues to investigate the Zodiac case, though no new developments have been reported recently. The recent breakthrough in decoding the Z340 cipher has reignited public interest in the case, leading to renewed discussions and investigation into the killer's identity.
So, with the Zodiac case, because this was one that you kind of recommended, I don't know a lot about it, other than the ciphers and the fact that somebody finally figured out the last cipher. Mm-hmm. What is your opinion on it?
I don't think they'll ever figure it out at this point.
I feel like any evidence that they might have had is deteriorated beyond use at this point.
Yeah.
Because I know they've been testing it over and over and trying to figure it out, and they just haven't.
No, he's... Hold on,
the cat's trying to eat the potatoes.
I'm trying to get in between the fucking washer. Go away. Go away.
Anyways.
And I know there's a movie about it with Robert Downey Jr. And then I think it's Jake Gyllenhaal is the main character. It's an okay movie. It's like a news reporter trying to solve the case, but he doesn't, I think, figure it out.
Oh, okay.
I liked it. And then in Watch Dogs 2, because that takes place in San Francisco, there's a little side quest you can do where you also try to figure out the Zodiac Killer.
Do you think either of those people that they said sound correct?
I think saying it was, which dude did they say it was about the shoe size?
Gary.
Yeah. Saying Gary, just because someone has the same shoe size doesn't make
any sense.
Because
there's probably a lot of people, especially if it's like a common one, like a 10 or an 11.
Yeah. So what does all the people who had the same shoe size as John Wayne Gacy, did they kidnap and murder people just because they had the same shoe size?
So you had said that he went around killing couples.
Mm-hmm.
I went way too far. And was claimed responsibility for 37 victims. Do you think there was more than that? Or do you think it is just 37? I know just 37 sounds like a lot, but still.
Well, I mean, there's the official number, the 5.
Yeah.
But if he says 37, you also got to look at, I guess, any other deaths around the same time.
Yeah.
During that time frame.
It also says that he's was trying to get attention, which makes sense with the ciphers, sending them into the newspaper.
Yeah.
Do you think he could have claimed 37 just to get attention?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if you, killing 5 people, obviously
that's right on the cusp of being a serial killer.
Yeah. But then saying you've killed 37 people, I mean, it's kind of impressive that you've killed 37 people.
Yeah.
And not gotten
caught. Yeah, I know there's another killer. I don't think we cover him, but there was another killer, I believe, up in Alaska that was killing hookers there in Alaska. And he claimed that he killed at least 100. And he had little X's marked on a map of where all these people were buried or dropped off or whatever. And they only ever found I think maybe 20 or 30 of his people.
Yeah.
Even though they kept going to the X marks the spot, So I feel like some people do over-exaggerate it when they want that attention. They want that infamy, that money. Because, back then they could get money off of this stuff.
Yeah.
Nowadays, if you go to jail, you can't get money off of people publicizing you. Which, kind of smart.
Yeah. I mean, you just get publicized, then boom, you're in jail for however long you're sentenced for, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then after a while, everyone just kind of forgets.
Okay, so going on from that, we're now going to move into another killer that was also in the 70s. So, now, What is up with the 70s?
Because you could just get away with it.
I guess
Fuck
so.
it. I'll time travel this. I'll go back and I'll be a mass or serial killer because at least I can fucking get away with it at this point.
I don't know. I don't think these guys got away with it. Some of them didn't. So next we're going to move into the Golden State Killer, also known as the East Area Rapist and the original Night Stalker. This was California, shocker, again, in the 1970s and the 1980s. Who was the Golden State Killer? Joseph James D'Angelo Jr., born November 8th, 1945 in Bath, New York, is an American serial killer and serial rapist who committed a series of crimes across California between 1974 and 1986. Initially known as the Visalia Ransacker, he evolved into the East Area Rapist and later the original Night Stalker. His crime spree spanned over a decade, during which he committed at least 13 murders, 51 rapes, and over 120 burglaries across 11 counties in California. The timeline goes as follows. From 1974 to 75, Visalia Ransacker, D'Angelo began his criminal activities with a series of burglaries in Visalia, California. These crimes involved breaking into homes, stealing items, and sometimes vandalizing property. The escalation of these crimes included the attempting kidnapping and subsequent murder of Claude Snelling, a college professor, in 1975. From 76 to 79, he was known as the East Area Rapist. D'Angelo's crimes escalated to sexual assaults in the Sacramento area, operating under the alias East Area Rapist. He committed over 40 rapes, often stalking his victims before he attacks. He would enter homes at night, tie up the victims, and assault them. His modus operandi, included taunting phone calls to victims and law enforcement. From 79 to 86, he became the original Night Stalker. Moving to Southern California, D'Angelo committed at least 10 murders. These killings were characterized by brutal attacks on couples, often while they were asleep. The victims were bound, and the female victims were often raped before being murdered. The attacks were meticulously planned, and the killer left very few clues, leading to a prolonged investigation. For decades, the Golden State Killer remained unidentified. Traditional forensic methods failed to yield conclusive results. However, in a 2018 breakthrough occurred through the use of forensic genetic genealogy. Investigators uploaded DNA from crime scenes to public genealogy databases, leading to distant relatives of D'Angelo. Further investigation confirmed that D'Angelo was the prime suspect. On April 24th, 2018, Joseph James D'Angelo was arrested in Citrus Heights, California. He was charged with multiple counts of murder and kidnapping. In June 2020, D'Angelo pleaded guilty to 13 counts of first-degree murder and 13 counts of kidnapping. In August 2020, he was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. As of now, Joseph James D'Angelo is incarcerated at California State Prison, Coran, in protective custody. His case has been a significant example of how advancements in forensic science and genealogy can be utilized to solve cold cases.
You realize like how recent this guy was
Caught? Yeah. So when it comes to stuff like this, I'm glad that we kept DNA evidence from back then, because I feel like it shows that they knew we were eventually going to get there, but we weren't there yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's I've heard of a lot of cases where they've done that, and then later on, through familiar DNA, solved it. Now, my problem with familiar DNA is, say like you do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You give them your DNA to be like, maybe you'll find some missing persons or something. I don't know. And say it's your dad's uncle that has like barely any ties to you. It takes a lot to get to that person from your DNA. It just shows that somebody in your family has done it. So then I feel like at that point, all the men in your family will become suspects. And then they have to very slowly narrow it down. And if you get the wrong police department, they're going to be like, your DNA kind of matches. How do we know you didn't do it? And then they can just be like, we want to close this and we want to close it now. Let's just say you did it.
Yeah.
That's my kind of issue. And I know that it's gotten a lot better, but the familial DNA is kind of rocky in my opinion. What do you think about that? I mean, granted, they figured out who it was. It's great. Fantastic. But what is your opinion on that?
I have to think about it, I guess. Because, I mean, yeah, it's stuff from 60s, 70s, and 80s that they've had. And in between those times to now, those suspect or the dudes or gals who possibly did it
Mm-hmm.
could have, died in between those times. Or like with this guy who was recently or thrown in prison in 2020. He's probably like old as dirt at
Let's
this point.
see. He was born in 45, so yeah, he'd be in his 70s.
Yeah, so like
45, 55, 65, 75, 85, 95.
it's 2025.
He'd be in his 80s. Or he would be 80 right now.
Yeah, 80 on the dot.
Yeah. I mean, granted, he'd be 75 when he actually got convicted because that was 2020. But still, like that, I understand. You need to put him away because he did the thing. Like, he did the thing. We get that. But, like, at that point, you're giving this man life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. This man's already lived his fucking life.
Yeah, he's like...
I get
pretty
it.
much like 1 foot in the grave already.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Don't, ow. Don't get me, that was my funny bone. Don't get me wrong. He did the thing, and you need to punish him. I get that. But this man's already lived his life. The fuck is going to put him in for, oh no, he's only going to live 10 more years.
Yeah, like...
What are you doing?
Waste of taxpayer dollars, if you ask me.
100%. So, I want to look up real quick, DNA degradation. Because I feel like it's got to have a pretty small shelf life. You know what I mean?
I mean, unless you like stick it in the freezer or something, if you can. By the way, I only know about the Golden State Killer because I heard about it through a song from Fall Out Boy.
Which song?
We Didn't Start the Fire.
Is that really?
Yeah. One of the verses, he says, Golden State Killer got caught. I'm like, I don't know who that is, but I'll remember it.
That's funny. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so DNA degradation occurs at varying rates, but under ideal conditions, it can survive for millions of years, with studies showing a half-life of 521 years for certain fragments. However, DNA stability is heavily influenced by factors like temperature, humidity, and UV exposure, with samples degrading in days or even weeks in warm, humid environments. For long-term storage, encapsulating DNA in a protective matrix like silica and storing it at very cold temperatures is essential to minimize degradation and preserve genetic information.
So yeah, they just threw it in the freezer.
Essentially, but it would have to be negative 80 Celsius.
Yeah.
That's cold. That's real cold. My thing is, when you see cop shows, they just kind of throw shit in a box, put that box in a normal storage room.
Yeah.
With DNA like this, do they actually still do that? Or do they actually have like a giant ass freezer with like, this one's from this murder and this one's from this murder? Like,
I don't know. I think they'd probably just do it as soon as they can at this point.
Do you think the morgues keep it, like the forensic morgues, or do you think the people who hold the evidence hold it? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Which one do you think keeps it?
I think probably like the forensic morgue. They probably got like a big old freezer.
No food, evidence only.
Yeah, they probably do have to have a sign. People are stupid.
Some dudes probably put their lunch in there one day and be like, I shouldn't do that.
That's why they got directions on the back of shampoo bottles.
Do not eat.
Do not eat. Do not put it in your eyes. Don't do this with it.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to a more recent one. This happened when I was in school.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to go over this one. This is one that I kind of know a lot about. So this is...
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Israel Keys. Multi-state from 01 to 2012. I was born in 2000.
I know. So I saved this one for you.
Israel Keys was born on January 7th in 1978 in Richmond, Utah, as the second of 10 children in a devout Mormon family.
Damn.
His early years were marked by a move to a remote property in Stevens County, Washington, where his family lived without electricity or running water. They attended a church that subscribed to the white supremacist Christian identity ideology, which influenced Keyes' worldview.
Which, by the way, Israel Keyes does not sound like a white man's name. Putting that out here right now. Okay, continue.
Keyes' criminal activities began in the late 1990s. He served in the U.S. Army from 1998 to 2001, after which he returned to Washington and later moved to Alaska. During his time in Alaska, Keyes operated a construction business and was known to travel extensively across the United States for work. It was during these travels that he committed a series of murders, burglaries, and other crimes. Keyes was meticulous in his approach to killing. He would travel to various locations, often turning off his phone and paying with cash to avoid detection. He also buried murder kits containing weapons and tools in various states, which he would later use in his crimes. Keyes' killing spree came to an end in February 2012 with the abduction and murder of 18-year-old Samantha Koenig in Anchorage, Alaska. Surveillance footage showed Keyes abducting Koenig from her workplace. He subsequently used her debit card in several locations, leading to his arrest on March 13, 2012. During his incarceration, Keyes provided investigators with details about his crimes. He admitted to killing at least 3 people and hinted at additional victims. Though he refused to provide specific details, the FBI has believed he may have committed as many as 11 murders across the United States.
Sorry, I'm not laughing about this. My cats are drifting through the house.
Yeah, they like to run around and mock Jesus.
Bounce off the walls.
Bounce off their walls and use their claws to anchor themselves in the carpet so they don't go skidding across the floor.
All you hear is as they're running, and it's hilarious. Okay, continue. Sorry.
In his jail cell, Keyes created disturbing artwork, including skulls drawn in his own blood. These drawings are believed to represent his victims, with the FBI interpreting them as a chilling tally of his crimes. On December 1st, 2012, Israel Keyes died by suicide in his jail cell. His death left many questions unanswered, and the FBI continues to investigate his activities, hoping to identify all of his victims.
Okay, so I'm going to go a little bit deeper in this. So, Keyes, so if I remember correctly, Keyes was married, had a child, had a little girl, I think. They had no idea that he was doing this. This man was going to other states, murdering people, leaving them there, and then going home like nothing ever fucking happened. Mm-hmm. So this man, what he would do is he would take a plane to some random ass state, get a rental car, go to another ass state with that, and then do it. So he had 2 different things of travel that said he went, whatever. He paid in cash. There are still some of his killing kits or murder kits, whatever you want to call them, in multiple states where he left them to go back for them and never did.
Yeah.
The last one, the reason that he did get caught is, again, Samantha Koenig in Anchorage. When she left work, she was about to get in her car and he grabbed her right then and there, not realizing that there was cameras. He had been watching her, so he knew about her. I don't remember if he had tried to kidnap her and keep her as a plaything, but I think if I remember correctly, he hid her in his shed. And I think one of the I feel like something got them to look in the shed and saw her, and that's kind of how that went. But this man, if you look into how he operated, like, deeper, this man was creepy. He never planned any of it. He didn't, go into these towns and be like, let me see who I can, grab in a few months, he was like, I'm here. You drew the small stick today. That's kind of how he operated. Yeah. That, to me, in serial killers is more scary than them planning it out, in my opinion. Because it's I just feel like this person today. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just, impulsive.
Yeah. I feel like that's scarier than them planning it out and, stalking you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
What do you think? Do you think the stalking and planning everything out, or the, I feel like killing you today is worse?
I think just random murder.
It's like you're the next level of unhinged.
Yeah. Because, sometimes I feel like with the ones who plan murders, it's like they already know the person a little bit.
Yeah, in some way.
In some way. And then, I don't know, then they're like, oh, well, they have my trust and I can just stab them. But then just like picking fucking Joe Schmo off the street to fucking stab in the neck or something, and then disposing of them, that seems like a little bit more unhinged.
Right. That's no planning. It's so the morbid cast kind of talked about this. It's kind of like when burglars just go into a house without staking it out. Like they don't know who's in the house, they don't know what weapons, they don't know anything about these people, they don't know nothing. That is kind of the same as serial killers not planning their shit out. That is terrifying.
Yeah.
Because that means that person does not give a absolute fuck one way or another what happens when they enter in that house.
Yeah. It just means they value my property more than their own lives.
They don't even value their life at all if they're doing that without planning. Same with a serial killer. You don't know, like, say for instance, you think what are the kids calling it now? When like somebody doesn't look buff and then all of a sudden they are. It's like the stalker body or something like that.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
It has been all over. Anyways, basically, like he could go up to somebody like you and be like, "Oh, I can take this dude," and then all of a sudden you're fucking built like a motherfucker under, the little bit of chub that you might have or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like this motherfucker didn't give a shit. That's terrifying.
Yeah.
And the fact that this was in 2012 is even worse. Or 2001 to 12. It's worse. I don't know why, but it's worse. Okay, you ready for another take back to the 70s?
Yep. Ted Bundy.
Ted Bundy. So, Ted Bundy was born Theodore Robert Cowell. If I remember correctly, he didn't like the name Theodore.
I wouldn't either.
So, Theodore was born on November 24th, 1946 in Burlington, Vermont. He was raised by his grandparents for much of his early childhood and grew up believing his mother was his sister. Bundy was intelligent and charismatic, attending the University of Washington, where he studied psychology. Haha, bummer for him. He was known for being charming and socially adept, traits he would later exploited to lure his victims. Ted Bundy is considered one of the most notorious serial killers in the U.S. history. He operated primarily in the 1970s, targeting young women, often college students who resembled his earlier crushes. His methods included luring tactics such as often pretending to be injured, using props like a fake cast or crutches, and asking for help carrying objects, thereby gaining the trust of his victims. Abduction and attack. Once alone with the victim, he would overpower and abduct them. Many victims were sexually assaulted before being murdered. And then, of course, disposal of bodies. Bundy often took bodies to remote locations, sometimes returning to engage in necrophilic acts. Some victims, you can get a lot of, like, diseases that way. That's how they know when morgue workers are fucking dead people. And then they have to report it, which is hilarious. Hey, yo, I got this dude down here with an STD that you should probably be concerned about. Some victims were buried in shallow graves, while others were left in rivers or wooded areas. Bundy confessed to 30 homicides across several states, though the actual number is suspected to be much higher. His crimes spanned Washington, Oregon, Utah, Colorado, Idaho, and Florida, of all places. I guess he wanted to go on vacation. See them gators.
Something.
Bundy was first arrested in 1975 in Utah for kidnapping Carol DeRonch. During his trials, he displayed remarkable courtroom manipulation skills, often representing himself and charming juries. Bundy famously escaped from custody twice in 1977. First, he jumped from a courthouse window in Aspen, Colorado, and then later he escaped from a jail in Glenwood Springs, Colorado, before fleeing to Florida, where he committed his final murders. In Florida, Bundy committed the attacks at the Chi Omega sorority house in Tallahassee in 1978, murdering 2 women and severely injuring 2 others. He then abducted 12-year-old Kimberly Leach, who became his final known victim. Bundy's Florida trial for the Chi Omega murders became highly publicized. Despite his efforts to delay proceedings and represent himself, he was convicted of first-degree murder. Bundy received 3 death sentences, 2 for the Chi Omega murders and 1 for Kimberly Leach. He spent nearly a decade on death row at Florida State Prison in Ryford. Ted Bundy was executed in the electric chair on January 24th in 1989 at the Florida State Prison. His life and crimes have become a focal point in studies of criminal psychology due to his combination of charm, intelligence, and extreme violence. Bundy's case helped law enforcement improve interstate criminal databases, victim profiling, and forensic investigation techniques. Now, the cultural impact that Bundy had was that his story has been added into books, documentaries, and films, including Conversations with the Killer, the Ted Bundy tapes on Netflix. Great show. His case is often cited as an example of a psychopathic killer who can manipulate social systems to continue his crimes, and Bundy's ability to charm people despite committing horrific crimes has influenced studies on why is that word so hard?
Which one? Psychopathy?
My brain was saying psychopathy. That's why I was like, wait. Criminal profiling and law enforcement psychology. So Ted Bundy scares me a little bit. For a few different reasons. Mostly his charisma scares me. If you have the stomach for it and are interested in it, look up his case videos when he was on trial. There is a video where he is all charming. He's doing his best. Like, he looks dignified, whatever you want to call him, right? And I think either the witness, the judge, or the prosecutor says something that he does not fucking like at all. And that facade drops so fucking quick to just a absolutely psychopathic, insane, full of rage look in his eyes and his face, and then it just snaps right back. And it is terrifying. Like, the fact that he could drop that and pick it back up really quickly like that, and you can see it very clearly in that video, it is terrifying.
Yeah.
And, like, his charm to be able to, like, pull all of this off was ridiculously terrifying to me. Because, like, you know, we always meet charming people in real life and whatever, and we're like, oh, I like this person. I really like this person. And then you get this.
Yeah.
Do you think it's worse when somebody is off and you can tell that they're off and they did commit murders? Or do you think it's worse when they're charming like Ted Bundy was and they commit murders?
I think with people who are off, like, you can tell they're off. You'll see them and you'll like, oh yeah, I should probably avoid this person just in case.
Yeah.
But then, like, I think if someone's too charming, like too nice, you probably also be like,
you get that weird little gut feeling.
Yeah, like, I should be weary with this guy or girl.
We should definitely touch on some female serial killers next time we do this.
Yeah.
There's not many, but there's a few.
Yeah. But, like, I guess it just varies.
Okay. I personally think that the ones that are super charming scare me the most. Because it's almost like a snake hiding in tall grass, you know?
Yeah.
You get that weird gut feeling, but you can't really put your finger on it until you actually get the proof, you know? And I think that's terrifying, especially for the fact that he was the one who kind of really started the luring tactics like this. I'm assuming other people did, but I feel like he was really put in the spotlight about it. And I feel like that started a lot of people following that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what was it, Buffalo Bill who did the same thing? He did the, I'm hurt, I'm weak, I can't do this, help me.
Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is just a terrifying thought, you know, being a nice human, and now everybody's against helping people because of shit like this.
Yeah, that's why growing up, we're told don't talk to strangers.
And then our generations are like, oh, let's talk to strangers on the internet.
Well, yeah, like my mom told all of us, don't talk to people you don't know. And I think it's just because of how many serial killers there were in the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
You know, you don't realize how many were back then until you start, like, looking at them and you're like, why were you doing this? Were you bored? On drugs? Your mama not love you? Like,
yeah.
Okay.
Just random everything, I guess.
I love how a lot of them are in California, in that area. Yeah, like, he West. Didn't. His was, you know, Washington, Oregon, Utah, Colorado, everything around California. But why are they always over there? Is something in the water?
It's California.
Okay, that doesn't answer my question. Is there something in the water?
Lead?
Probably a lot of that over there. All right. You're going to leave the United States now. Still in the 70s, but not the United States.
Yeah. Okay, I got it. It's a name. Andrei
Chikatilo,
the Rostov.
That does not sound Russian at all.
The Rostov Ripper from the USSR from the 70s to the 90s. Andrei Romanovich Chikatilo Was born on October 16th.
Never trust anybody with 3 names. Continue.
Okay. 1936 in Ukraine, then part of the Soviet Union. His childhood was extremely traumatic. He grew up during the Stalin famine and World War II, experiencing severe hunger and the loss of family members. He was bullied as a child, suffered from feelings of inadequacy, and developed deep psychological issues. Some sources suggest early sexual dysfunction and fantasies contributing to his later crimes. Chikatilo eventually worked as a teacher and later a factory worker despite being socially awkward. He married and had children, which helped him maintain a facade of normalcy while committing his crimes.
Can I just say really quick that it is very disturbing how many of these serial killers have wives and children and normal lives and then do this shit on the side. Okay, continue.
Yep. Chikatilo became one of the most notorious serial killers in the Soviet history. He was active primarily between 1978 and 1990, committing crimes across Rostov,
Voroshilovgrad?
Yeah.
That's a lot of letters.
Well, yeah, Soviet cities were long and ridiculous. Other regions of Russia and Ukraine. He targeted women and children, particularly young girls, and often lured them into isolated areas. His crimes involved abduction. Victims were often approached in public or near train station and promised money, work, or candy. His murder methods, where he often used a knife to kill his victims, sometimes mutilating them after death.
Ew.
He was also known for sexual assault, including post-mortem sexual acts.
What is up with these people? Fucking dead bodies.
I don't know. Victims, he was convicted of 52 murders, but investigators believed he may have killed over 56 victims, both in children and adults.
Damn.
Chikatilo's killings were marked by extreme brutality and ritualistic elements. His psychological motives included sexual frustration, rage against women stemming from his own insecurities, and failures in relationships. Chikatilo evaded capture for over a decade due to a combination of ineffective law enforcement procedures, limited forensic technology, and the secrecy of the Soviet system. Multiple factors hindered the investigation. The Soviet police initially refused to acknowledge serial killers existed, believing the concept was a Western phenomenon. Investigators relied heavily on witness accounts and limited forensic evidence, which delayed identification. And Chikatilo's careful planning, including choosing remote locations and varying victim profiles, made it difficult to link the murders. In 1990, a breakthrough came through. Chikatilo was arrested after a manhunt and stakeouts. He had been detained before for suspicious behavior, but released due to insufficient evidences. Advances in forensic science, including blood type matching and a sting operation in which police hid near railway stations, finally led to his capture. Chikatilo confessed to 56 murders after a long interrogation and psychological evaluation. The trial, which began in 1992, was one of the most sensational in Russian history. Chikatilo exhibited no remorse during proceedings. During these proceedings, he was convicted of 52 counts of murder, additional charges of sexual assault and robbery. He was sentenced to death by shooting, as the Soviet Union still carried out capital punishment at the time.
Damn.
Andrei Chikatilo was executed on February 14th, 1994. His case exposed weaknesses in Soviet criminal investigation procedures, highlighting the need for modern forensic techniques, criminal profiling, and coordinated law enforcement efforts. Psychologists have studied Chikatilo extensively to understand the development of psychopathy and the link between childhood trauma and violent criminal behavior. Chikatilo remains a symbol of one of the most terrifying and prolific serial killers in modern history, earning the nicknames like the Butcher of Rostov and the Red Ripper. His crimes are often cited in criminology courses and documentaries about serial murder in the Soviet Union.
So, I added this one because I wanted to show that we're not the only ones that are doing this shit. Which, I mean, we all know this, but I wanted to show that we were not the only ones doing this in, like, the 70s especially. But I also thought it was really funny that the Soviet Union tried to say that serial killers were only over here.
Yeah.
That, when I read that, when I was researching this, when I read that, I was like, wow, y'all are really stupid. Mm-hmm. Or lying to yourselves. You're gaslighting your own self here.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, especially in the Soviet Union, no offense to anybody over there that still believes in this stuff, but I feel like during the Soviet Union whole thing, there was a lot going on over there, and I feel like there had to have been more people just being like, I don't like you.
Well, yeah, the secret police were taking people.
For real. So
Because
like
during Stalin's reign, he the I want to say it's the Cheka. I don't. It's the secret police. I think they were called the Cheka. I don't remember. Like they would have eyes on everybody.
Yeah.
So it was. I think it'd be a lot harder to get away with it. Unlike
apparently this man.
Because like the cities like in the Ukraine area, but like of course they had eyes everywhere. So, with like the way he did it with just random ages,
murder.
Yeah, it's hard to put it together. But like during Stalin's rule, there was a lot more going on. I guess that they were worried about
than just like somebody murdering people.
Yeah, like your neighbor. You're worrying about your neighbor telling on you because you said one anti-communist thing.
Or hiding Jews.
Nah, that's Nazi Germany.
I know.
Or the famines at the time. There was just a lot more going on during that time period.
They were probably like, "Oh, we'll just let him kill a few. It'll be fine. It'll help the food reserves."
And then the other Soviet leaders after Stalin, where they kind of reeled back on the or when they were de-Stalinizing the Soviet Union, where they started worrying more about other things than just being paranoid about everything and being overall dickheads to your citizens.
Had you ever heard of him?
No.
I'd kind of heard a little bit about him. Like I've heard the term the Red Ripper before, and people equate him to like a modern day Jack the Ripper just because of how prolific he was and the fact that he got away with it for so long.
Yeah.
But I think that was really the only reason that they said that, and the fact that it was obviously all women and children. What I find very disturbing is the fact that not once did they mention the fact that he was, other than at the beginning, that he was technically a pedophile. Because he, if I remember correctly, he had some very young girls that he was doing this to.
Yeah.
Including raping, murdering, and then re-raping again the same girls. So that doesn't make him just a serial killer. That now makes him a pedophile.
Yeah.
By choice. And I feel like that kind of makes his shit a little worse, especially, where he was. I feel like women were kind of a thing that you should have kept safe, in my opinion. Because with the famines and stuff, just people dying. You need to bring your population back up after a famine and all that fun stuff and war and whatnot. So I feel like they should have been something that y'all been like, hey, watch this dude,
I mean, also keep in mind the Soviet Union's a big place and there's lots of people.
Yeah, that is true. So he is one of the most prolific ones that we've covered so far, I believe, that actually was proven that he killed them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So, coming back to the United States again, and shocker, the West Coast from the 1970s and 80s again, Randy Kraft, also known as the Scorecard Killer. So, Randy Stephen Kraft was born on February 19th, 1945 in Long Beach, California. He grew up in a relatively stable family environment and was described as intelligent and charming. Kraft attended college and later served in the United States Navy, where he traveled extensively and developed a fascination with young men. After leaving the Navy, he settled in Southern California and worked as a high school teacher and a sales representative. Despite appearing normal in public, Kraft led a double life, harboring violent sexual fantasies and a compulsion to kill young men. He meticulously planned his crimes, which allowed him to evade capture for years. Randy Kraft is believed to have murdered at least 16 young men, though investigators suspect the total may be closer to 67, earning him the nickname Scorecard Killer. He operated primarily in Southern California during the 70s and early 80s. His modus operandi included luring victims, where he often picked up young men from bars, bus stops, or while hitchhiking. He sometimes offered them alcohol or drugs, because, 70s. Then he did abduction and murder, where victims were drugged, restrained, sexually assaulted, and then killed. Kraft frequently used strangulation or stabbing. Then torture. Some victims were tortured before death, and Kraft documented his killings on a personal scorecard, recording details about each victim, including age, location, and method of killing. And then body disposal, where he usually dumped along freeways in remote areas or near beaches, making identification, difficult words are hard today, Kraft's meticulous record keeping and careful planning allowed him to operate undetected for nearly a decade.
Mhm.
Kraft evaded police attention for years, partially because many victims were young men who were marginalized or transient, making their disappearances less likely to trigger intensive investigations. He traveled widely, leaving little pattern for authorities to trace. The investigation intensified in 1983, where police found a body in a rural area near Los Angeles. Further investigation revealed links to several similar cases. Kraft became a suspect after traffic stops revealed him in possession of bodies belongings and incriminating evidence, including blood-stained clothing, weapons, and his notorious scorecard. He was arrested on April 27, 1983 in Newport Beach, California. Randy Kraft's trial began in 1988, attracting national attention. Prosecutors presented overwhelming evidence, including his detailed scorecard and testimony from surviving victims who escaped his attacks. Kraft was convicted of 16 counts of murder, numerous counts of sexual assault, and other crimes, and he was sentenced to death in California and has remained on death row at San Quentin State Prison ever since. Due to the lengthy appeals process in California, Kraft has not been executed. Randy Kraft is considered one of the most methodical and prolific serial killers in U.S. history. His scorecard provided a chilling insight into his psychological motivations and obsession with control and domination. His case contributed to advances in criminal profiling, serial killer investigative techniques, and awareness of the vulnerability of marginalized populations. So, with that, of course, we talked about all of the stuff that he did. He's, like I said, still alive, which is kind of surprising. So, this dude had trial in 1988 and is still sitting on death row in California. How does that make you feel? Because I feel like that 88 to 25 is a very long time. I'm pretty sure when I was looking at the research that the pages that I saw, he said he was still alive and on death row. What do you think about them leaving him on death row for that long?
At this point, they might as well just leave him in there to die of old age.
I mean, they might as well. I mean, like we said last episode, Texas's death row sentencing is 15 years. Just, kind of give them that space. It's obviously been well over 15. Do you think that them letting them have so many appeals is really justified? If they have, like, all these evidence of that he's saying he did it and he can, all the stuff that shows that he was, in fact, the killer.
Yeah.
Do you think he should be able to
appeal? No.
Like, a lot?
No.
I think
if you're openly admitting it, like, oh yeah, I killed this person. It was me.
Yeah.
I did it. You shouldn't be. I think you shouldn't be allowed to appeal it.
I feel the same.
You're admitting to being a piece of crap.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be allowed to be like, take back.
Mm-hmm. Never mind. I didn't do that.
I didn't do it.
You lied. You coerced me. Clearly, I didn't do that.
Your Honor, where's your proof? Were you there?
Were you there?
Clearly not.
You weren't even born.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I agree. So, moving on from them, we're going to move on to Australia, where you are going to bring in another murderer, not surprisingly from the 70s. Close, but not.
Yeah. Ivan Milat, the backpacker murderers in New South Wales, Australia, from 1989 to 1993.
Good eye, Mike.
Ivan Robert Marco Milat.
That is a long name.
Was born on December 27th, 1944 in Guildford, New South Wales, Australia.
I don't like that our birthdays are very close together.
He was a son of a Croatian immigrant and grew up in a family that reportedly experienced domestic violence. Milat left school early and had a history of petty crimes and violent behavior, including assault and robbery. By the 70s, he was living in Belango State Forest area with remote woodland southwest of Sydney, where he would later commit his infamous crimes. Milat was responsible for the murder of at least 7 young backpackers between 1989 and 1993, though he may have had additional victims. His victims were primarily international travelers who were hitchhiking through Australia. His modus operandi included luring victims. He often offered rides to hitchhikers, pretending to be friendly and helpful. Abduction. Once in his vehicle, victims were restrained with ropes and tape. Torture and murder. Victims were brutally attacked with some evidence of sexual assault. They were shot with a firearm and their bodies burned in remote locations in Belangolo State Forest. What a name. Victim profile. Victims were mostly young, independent backpackers traveling alone, which made them vulnerable targets. The disappearance of several backpackers in the early 1990s triggered a nationwide investigation in Australia. In 1992, police found a survivor, Paul Onions, who had escaped an attacker and later identified Milat from a photograph. Key investigation breakthroughs included surveillance of Milat and searches of his property, which revealed weapons, restraints, and other incriminating items. Forensic evidence linking him to murders, including bullet casings and other physical evidence. Testimonies from family members who corroborated his violent tendencies and obsession with guns. Milat was arrested on May 22nd, 1994, in his home in Belangolo Forest after carefully planned police operations. Ivan Milat's trial began in 1996 and lasted several months. He was convicted of several counts of murder and attempted murder in relation to Paul Onions. He received 7 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, reflecting the severity of his crimes. Ivan Milat remained in Goulburn Correctional Center in New South Wales until his death on October 27th, 2019, from esophageal cancer. Milat's crimes had profound impact on Australian society. Backpacker safety, his murders instilled fear among travelers and led to changes in advice and precautions for hitchhikers and backpackers. Milat's case influenced Australian law enforcement methods in tracking serial killers, including forensic evidence collection and psychological profiling. His crimes have been subject of books, documentaries, and films, making him one of Australia's most infamous criminals.
You've heard of him before, right?
Nope.
Really? That's surprising. So Ivan Milat was a huge manhunt. Like, it took them quite a while. Funny enough, I was going to share this. They have found more evidence showing that there has been more murders that they never knew about.
Mm-hmm.
And they are linking it to Milat. In the NSW Parliament, or the NSW area, sorry. Basically, they're saying that there has been a police sketch of cold case suspects that are extremely similar to Ivan Milat here.
Yeah.
Looks like a normal Australian man.
Big buff, jean shorts, tank top, handlebar mustache.
Yep. So, seems about right.
Yeah.
So even today, they're still looking into the fact that this man probably killed way more people than they think. He's being tied to multiple extra things. There are movies about him, multiple out there about him, and he was a big thing. Like, I've heard of him multiple times. My friend Batman and I have talked about him quite a few times. There's an Australian-based movie. I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
Based on this man, and it is a horror style movie, and it is terrifying. What do you think that he got away with it pretty easily because of how wide open and just expansive that Australia is?
Like, for the time he got away with it?
Yes.
Yeah. Because, like, when you look at a map of Australia,
there's a lot of open space.
The majority of the population lives on the eastern coast.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, westward, it's all just barren nothingness.
Oh, scatteredness.
Yeah, like, you're going to have little pockets of civilization out there, but once you get out, it's like a certain point, there's nothing. It's just critters living out there.
Critters and tribespeople.
The kangaroos that try to drown you. They do that. If you're fighting a kangaroo and all of a sudden it goes into a body of water, it will try to drown you.
Sounds like a kelpie. You know what that is, right?
Yeah, those horses
that drown people.
Yeah. Kangaroos are scary.
Yeah, they definitely are.
But that's not the point.
It might be the point.
Just, I guess, because there's a lot of open space.
Mm-hmm.
You could probably get away with it.
Probably. Ivan Milat was not really a newer killer because again it was the 80s and like early 90s, but it is still kind of shocking that he was able to do all of that. I don't know why. It just seems shocking to me.
Yeah, just because I guess it's more or past the point where they had more stuff compared to the 70s and 80s.
Yes. I mean, even though it is, like I said, or like we said, it is Australia, they still did have a little bit farther on the science part of it. I feel like he shouldn't have gotten away with it for that long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move to a heavier guy, meaning that his crimes are heavier. This one, I don't think you would have heard of. The Toy Box Killer.
Nope.
Okay. So David Parker Ray was a fucked up individual. I'm just going to put that out there now. I kind of skim over a lot of what he does, but it is still kind of heavy. He was in New Mexico in the 1990s. He was born on November 6, 1939, in Belen, New Mexico. He grew up in a seemingly normal household, but he displayed early signs of deviant sexual behavior and cruelty toward women. Real quick before we continue, I want to say that it is shocking how many serial killers have issues with women.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what spurs them on. That should be studied heavily because that's disturbing. He served in the U.S. Army and later, and also this is like the third one that was in the military. There was 2 U.S. Armies so far and a Navy, I believe. And later returned to New Mexico, marrying and having children. Despite maintaining a normal facade as a family man, he harbored violent sexual fantasies that would define his later crimes. Ray lived in a remote property near Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. Great name.
What a name.
Which he transformed into what he called the Toy Box, a soundproofed trailer or cabin equipped with torture devices and recording equipment. David Parker Ray is believed to have tortured and killed multiple women over the course of his criminal career, though the exact number of victims remain unknown. He is known to have abducted, restrained, and sexually tortured women in his soundproofed trailer. His modus operandi included abducting and luring women using his charm, sometimes posing as a helpful or authoritative figure. He restrained and tortured victims where he tied them to tables or racks and subjected to extreme physical and sexual torture, often recorded for Ray's personal use. He employed various devices, including whips, chains, and electrical equipment. I'm going to put this out there right now. If you look up this man, do not listen to the fucking sound recordings on the internet unless you are absolutely prepared for them because they are heavy, they are dark, and you will hear this man laughing as he tortures these women and men and hear them, or these women, and you will hear him laughing about it as they're screaming their fucking lungs out. Putting that out there. He would use psychological control, like drugs and hypnosis and intimidation to maintain control over his victims, sometimes keeping them captive for extended periods. And while Ray confessed to killing some women, most of his confirmed crimes involve torture without confirmed murder. Authorities suspect he may have killed dozens of women, potentially disposing of bodies in the surrounding desert. Ray collaborated with his girlfriend, Cecilia Silly Gonzalez, who helped lure victims to him. Also, despicable woman. Ray's crimes remained undetected for many years until 2001, when a woman he had kidnapped managed to escape and report him. The investigation revealed the soundproof trailer filled with torture devices, restraints, and recording equipment, confirming suspicions of prolonged abuse. Police discovered evidence suggesting Ray had kept meticulous records of his victims and their torture sessions, including audio recordings describing the abuse. He admitted during interrogation to abducting and torturing multiple women, though the true number may never be known. David Parker Ray was arrested in 2001 and subsequently convicted of multiple counts of kidnapping and torture. He received 224 years in prison, reflecting the severity of his crimes, but he never faced trial for murder due to lack of evidence linking him to specific deaths. Ray died of a suspected heart attack in 2002 while in custody at the New Mexico State Prison just 1 year after his arrest. He planned that shit. David Parker Ray is remembered to have one of the most sadistic sexual predators in the United States history, and his crimes contributed to changes in investigative techniques related to abductions and tortures, particularly in detecting serial offenders operating in isolated areas. awareness of the use of psychological manipulation, drugs, and technology in criminal enterprises, and numerous documentaries, books, and true crime analysis which explore the psychology of control, sexual sadism, and prolonged captivity. Ray's case remains chilling for the level of premeditation, ingenuity, and depravity he displayed in his crimes, which earned him the nickname the Toy Box Killer. So, he was fucked up as fuck. I don't know how the hell they didn't find any of his victims, like their dead bodies. I didn't really look into that because I was getting a little. I've listened to the whole podcast episode about this one, and I usually don't get very affected by serial killers and learning about them. Like, yes, they make you feel heavy, but not really affected by it. This man, if you deep dive into him, it will affect you. It'll fuck you up. Especially if you end up hearing the recordings.
Yeah.
He was a terrifying man. I don't know how anybody thought he was charming. I'm very concerned for these people's minds when they say that. With something like that where they abduct it and they can't find the bodies, do you still think they're technically a serial killer?
I mean, if there's proof that he's taken these people and then
they just kind of go missing.
And then it's all linked, then I guess you can still call him a serial killer. Because if he's out in the desert...
Yeah, which he was. He was out in the middle of BFE.
Yeah, so he could easily just drive the bodies out to the middle of nowhere, just dump them, and then whatever scavenger animals are out there will just eat the remains.
I was going to say, with New Mexico, there are coyotes, obviously. I don't know if New Mexico still has wolves. I don't think it does.
I don't know.
But I mean, there are scavengers. There's, of course, like I said, coyotes. There's buzzards. There's all of the little bugs and whatnot. And, of course, some birds that pick at dead things. I mean, it could be possible. But the fact that it's still, like, unknown how many he actually did is terrifying.
Yeah. They'll probably never find them.
Yeah, never. I feel like with him being, like you said, out in BFE and having that access to the, just wide expanses of fucking New Mexico, I feel like that helped a lot. And the fact that his girlfriend helped. She tried, I feel like I remember in the trial, she tried to say that she didn't know anything of what was happening. All she knew was he wanted women.
I find that hard to believe.
Ma'am. Ma'am. I feel like, I'm sorry, you are living with this man. You know damn well what the fuck he's doing. There's no way you didn't. He has a soundproof trailer, ma'am, that he disappears into for hours after you've brought him a woman. The fuck you think he's doing?
Having tea time, apparently.
Apparently. Like, there have been so many where they've had girlfriends and wives and stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, he was great. I didn't suspect anything. Bullshit.
Yeah. It's like how...
bullshit.
What's his name? El Chapo?
Mm-hmm.
His wife's like, oh, I never knew he was a drug kingpin. I'm being so serious. Guys, I swear, I didn't know. I just thought he had a lot of money. You think he got all that money?
Pharmaceuticals.
Selling the oranges on the corner? Nuh-uh. No way.
Be some good oranges. But it's so shocking to me. And we talked about this a little bit earlier. It's shocking to me that they have wives and girlfriends and children, and they can show so much compassion to these people and then go out and murder the same types of people. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. There's one killer. I don't know if we've already covered him. I don't remember who it was, but he killed a whole family and left the dog because he just couldn't hurt the dog.
Draws the line at the dog.
He drew the line at the dog, and I'm like, you just killed a 4 and a 7-year-old, their mom in front of them, and the father, but you couldn't touch the dog?
Yeah, the dog's too much.
What? And then you have a child at home that you're going to go home to and be like, oh, daddy's home. Let me love you. I love you. You're the best child ever.
Yeah.
How? How is there? Where's the cutoff here? How does the cutoff work? Is it just like a switch? Like, I'm concerned as to what the fuck.
Yeah.
Like, how does that not play as an insanity issue? Like, granted, they're still saying to go to trial, but how does that not concern psychologists as an insanity issue? Like, there's got to be something in there that is being, like, switched, almost like not bipolar, personality disorder. where, you have the different personalities. There's got to be something similar to that is causing these people to be able to, like, separate those two, I guess, parts of themselves so effectively. Do you agree?
Probably.
Do you think it's... Oh, excuse me. Do you think it's something personality-wise or brain-wise?
I'd say personality.
You think it's a personality issue?
Yeah.
Okay. It's so shocking, and when you look into, like, how their personal lives were compared to, like, their quote-unquote professional lives, because they were professional serial killers, you can obviously say that. It's so shocking, the level of difference. It doesn't make sense to me. So next we're going to kind of talk back and forth about a current case going on. There's not really much known about it so far. You and I have been talking about it. Supposedly, not supposedly, there is a confirmed serial killer in the Austin area. The police are finally saying, Austin, Texas, by the way, a confirmed serial killer in the Austin, Texas area. A lot of people the last few years have been talking about it, being like, oh, there's got to be one. People are disappearing. They're ending up in Lady Bird Lake. It keeps happening. There are certain demographics and different lifestyles. I think most of them have been LGBT. And stuff along that spectrum. What do you know about it?
So just know that it's in Austin. It's fairly recent. Like you said, recently the authorities have been saying that it is a serial killer. Because I know before that they're like, oh no, it's not a serial killer.
They were heavily denying it.
It was just people dying, just being murdered.
Oh, or falling in the lake. Oh no.
Oh no. That's kind of it, really.
So I've seen a lot of, like, videos on Facebook and TikTok in the last few years, basically being like, oh, y'all need to, like, be careful when you're coming home from the bars, because that's when they're finding all these dead people along Lady Bird Lake, and you just need to be really careful, travel in packs, blah, 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 blah. So here's what's actually known as of August 18th of this year. Lady Bird Lake deaths and rumors. Since 2022, multiple bodies have been recovered in or around Lady Bird Lake, prompting public speculation about a serial killer near the Rainy Street area. Local data is reporting counted dozens of recoveries. Police have reportedly stated that have no evidence of a serial killer, and that many cases involve drownings or non-suspicious circumstances. Bull fucking shit. Separate confirmed linkage in 2 murders. In August 24, Austin authorities announced a DNA connection between the June 2024 murder of Alyssa Ann Riviera and the 2018 murder of Alba Janice Aviles. A Hispanic male seen near Rivera is a person of interest. The offender's DNA did not hit CODIS, and genetic genealogy work is ongoing. This is a distinct investigation from the lake drownings. Measured speculation and the limits of it. There are patterns in the lake cases: time of day, proximity to nightlife, and victim demographics. They're mimicking serial predation signatures. However, without consistent trauma indicators, common ligatures, or a repeating offender method, attributing the drownings to a single perpetrator remains conjectural. The documented DNA linked from 2018 and 24 murders demonstrate an active offender, but authorities have not tied that offender to the lake incidents. Now, here's the thing. Like you and I just said, they've already finally admitted that there is a serial killer. What?
Yep.
It was this year, wasn't it? Or was it the end of last year?
I don't know.
It was within the last, 6 or 7 months. They finally admitted it. Before that, they were like, these drunk people are just stumbling into the lake as they're walking home. You've been drunk many times.
Uh-huh.
How many times have you ever stumbled into a fucking lake?
Not once.
Okay. How often do you think these people are, stumbling into the fucking lake?
You're not me. I don't know how far. So I'm assuming a lot of these people who get drunk are over at 6th Street.
Yeah, what is this street called? Hold on. I didn't lost it, but...
Okay. Well, 6th Street, for those who don't know, it's a very...
Rainy Street area. So, yeah, it is in the bar area.
Yeah, 6th Street has a lot of bars, a lot of clubs.
A lot. And
a lot of people go there, to party, have a good time, all that stuff. I don't know how far 6th Street is from a lake.
I think Lady Bird Lake, which is actually technically a river, it goes through the middle of Austin, so I think it's only a few blocks off.
Okay, but...
if you can get there...
So, if you have that much good coordination while you're absolutely smashed,
smashed.
And you accidentally fall in without like your buddies or someone else being there with you,
or somebody walking by.
Yeah, because without being like, hey, don't do that, or holding you,
Hey, yo, don't get that close.
holding you before you fall in. It seems kind of ridiculous, I guess.
That's what I'm thinking. It doesn't make any sense, because if you can get from the bar to there without stumbling, getting stopped,
without being stopped by some law enforcement too, without some cop being like, hey, sir or ma'am,
you're very intoxicated.
I'm gonna have to write you up, public intoxication, blah blah.
Which
blah.
I don't think that's actually an issue in Austin. I think public. I feel like it's a very fine line in Austin on whether they'll actually get you for it.
But still,
I feel like a cop would stop you if you're that fucked up.
Yeah, if you're that fucked up in public during the nighttime, where the cops are probably going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot more of them.
Oh yeah, last time I went, they were extensive.
Yeah. And they see some person stumbling their way towards the river, and they don't think about going out and checking on them.
Yeah,
making sure they're okay. Seems kind of like a dick move. It
does. And I do believe, like everybody else, that there is a serial killer. Now, the guy that they're talking about, I have seen him. He is on trial right now, if I'm not mistaken. He is on trial right now for those two. But they don't know if he is for the rest of them. Yeah. That's the problem. Those two are the only two that connection, because of the DNA that's on them. Depending on how long these other bodies have been in the water, you're not going to find fucking shit on them. Yeah. So I'm surprised they found shit on these two. Because water obviously cleans everything off unless it has solidified, and I don't know what the actual word is, but basically the bodies have turned into soap. The same chemical compound as soap, which takes a while. So, in very, very specific conditions. But unless something like that happened, there's no way they're going to get DNA off these other people. Yeah. So, I mean, it's smart as a killer to drop them in the water, because it takes a while to find them again or get the evidence off of them. But I feel like with that, they're never going to find shit. Especially if they're doing it smart. Like the guy's doing it a smart way to where he's not leaving any like ligatures or hold down marks or anything like that. Mm-hmm. It's kind of hit or miss on this. And that sucks, because Austin is now, a lot of people in the bar scenes are like frightened. And I don't know how much it's affecting Austin, because Austin's a black hole. But it's still scary to think that, hey, there's a serial killer, an hour and a half from us right now? Yeah. Actively hunting. That's terrifying. I can see what the 70s might have felt like now. Yeah. What is your opinion on the fact that it's probably not going to be solved anytime soon, and it is going to continue? And it being that close. If it keeps going, it might end up to be like one of those things, like one of these other serial killers, where it's many years down the line after they're old as dirt, mm-hmm. and can't really do anything anymore. Yeah. Do you think it's going to be another cold case that stays a cold case for a very long time? Probably. That's scary. What I think is worse is that the families of the people who haven't been identified yet, mm-hmm. I feel like those families have a lot going on, and they're not going to have really anything to bury, because they don't know whose kid is who, Yeah. That's always sad to me. Okay, so let's go from that. We're going to talk about a few different little tidbits about the killers that we've gone over in last episode and this episode. The first one, where we talk about John Wayne Gacy, Jeffrey Dahmer, Bundy, Chikatilo, Milat, and Kraft, and the comparative forensic notes. First of all, let's look at body recovery environments. Gacy's subfloor burials required large-scale excavation. Dahmer's apartment scene demanded unprecedented industrial decontamination. Milat's remote forest deposition sites complicated search grids, and Kraft's vehicle stop preserved perishable trace evidence. Then you look at post-conviction identifications. Ongoing use of DNA and genealogical methods has continued to identify unknown victims in historical series, reshaping the cold case workflows across agencies. Identifications are a prime U.S. example, and Australia has pursued re-exams in the Milat context. Now, I do want to put out there, because there are so many cold cases where a lot of people are left unidentified, I think it is important for families to get their DNA submitted if they're in that area and they've had people that have gone missing in their families, whether they think it's from drug addiction or whatever reason. I do believe that those families should be putting in their DNA to be checking to see if that's theirs, like
Yeah.
their family members. And there's ways to do it. You can go to your local police department and have them do it, I believe, or you can go onto like the genealogy sites and do it that way. It really depends on like your method of how you want to do it, I guess. What is your opinion on people submitting their DNA to see if they are a match for things in either cold cases, whether it might be the serial killer or the victims?
Yeah, I guess I think they should do it. I think predominantly the like ethnicities that have a higher chance of loved ones being murdered,
Mm-hmm.
they should probably do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it'd be a good idea.
I think definitely it's important to kind of think about that, just because of the fact that like you don't know if like your great aunt, for instance, because this is a lot of these are back in the 70s and 80s, and
Yeah,
we weren't born then. Um, I feel like they should definitely put it in because you never know. You might solve something that has been a family issue for years and nobody talked about it, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, hey, shit, I found your person." Um, Next, we're going to look at John Wayne Gacy versus the Golden State Killer and the offender mobility and data gaps. These were local predator versus a regional prowler. Gacy operated largely from a fixed base, with victims drawn into a single residence, where Joseph D'Angelo offended across multiple jurisdictions, which changed monikers, eluding consolidated patterns until modern DNA merged cases. Some lessons learned are that the Golden State case institutionalized genealogical DNA in serious crime investigations, while Gacy's aftermath expanded missing persons clearinghouses and unidentified remains programs. Um, I do think it is really cool that Gacy kind of started the Amber Alert system, and I think that is a really cool thing to come out of something like that. I find it really interesting how many programs that we still use today are because of serial killers.
yeah.
I feel like without them being so prolific, and I hate to say that there's a lot of things that might not have happened anytime soon. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that is a good way to look at it? Or do you think people try to not even think about it?
I think it's like a positive that not I wouldn't say positive. It shouldn't have been a thing because of a certain set of events.
Yeah.
So like with John Wayne Gacy and abducting all those people and doing all the bad things and killing them.
Yeah.
And shoving them under in his basement or in his crawl space. Like they shouldn't have to have an alert for everyone to go out on their phone, like, oh, this person's missing, and this is the suspect or whatever.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have happened, but since it happened, that's what we have now. And it's just, I guess, no one really thinks about it because they'll pop up on their phone, and it's just more of an annoyance than anything.
Yeah, which I mean, it sucks when you think about it that way because, you could see that thing, that license plate, that car, that whatever, but it sucks that that's how it had to come about.
Yeah.
But it's a good thing we have it now. Okay, so the next one is the Israel Keys and his kill kits and counter forensics. The pre-positioning with Keys' buried supply caches enabled spontaneous selection of victims far from his home base, complicating geographical profiling and evidentiary linkage. The implication of this was that his methodology remains a training case for travel-enabled offenders and the limits of traditional place-based policing. So his helped a lot of training on FBI agents and whatnot. Then you got Jack the Ripper and the Zodiac with media, myth, and message. Communiques as control both offenders or hoaxers in their names, used letters to influence public fear and investigative direction, creating information noise and copycat risks. Authorities now triage public claims with linguistic and forensic filtering to avoid misallocation of resources. There have been so many where the police have asked for information and been sent in so many different goose chases because people are assholes and they're like, ah ha ha, let's send them over here. Let's do this, let's do that. And I feel like the fact that they now have the linguistic and the forensic filtering helps a lot, because I've heard of a lot of different cases where it's not really serial killers, but people have been murdered, and the family or the police or whatever are asking for information, and they are sent on so many wild goose chases that it causes a hindrance in the cases and just all sorts of stuff, and it causes a lot of problems.
Yeah.
With that being said, why do you think that some people will send in false information to police?
Just to get a kick out of it.
Do you think it's a troll move? Or
yeah. So that was literally it. Oh, there's a serial where the police are looking for information about this missing person. I think it'd be funny if I just have them waste 45 minutes of their time driving over to this place just for there to be nothing.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, it's just people being assholes.
Yeah. I mean, it's good that they check just in case, but at the same time, they're losing so much money doing it.
Yeah. It wastes everyone's time. It burns, that precious time trying to find this person if they're, still alive. It's just people being dicks.
Yeah. Next, we look at Ted Bundy and Andrei Chikatilo and the system barriers. Of course, this was the cross-border friction. Bundy's interstate offending strained 1970s data sharing, whereas Chikatilo's murders unfolded amid Soviet secrecy and institutional denial of serial crime. Both environments impeded timely pattern detection, though for different structural reasons. Next, we have David Parker Ray and the survivor-led prosecution, which was a huge evidentiary core with limited recoverable remains. Survivor testimony, medical findings, and seized paraphernalia were decisive. The FBI's later public release of item photos sought additional identifications post-conviction. The Manson family conspiracy without seriality with criminal architecture. The case is legally and criminologically distinct from serial murder, a leader's coercive control over a small group, multiple crime scenes across 2 nights, and ideology as motive scaffolding. And it remains a canonical example of criminal conspiracy driven by cult dynamics. With the Manson family, you and I kind of talked about it a little bit. What other cults have been as bad as the Manson family? Do you think they are the ones who made cults stereotyped? Or do you think just cults in general have done that? Because off the top of my head, I can't think of another one that was as bad as the Manson family.
I think, the Manson family was probably, the base for it.
Yeah.
A bunch of people, they kill people and do whatever. And then, the other cults that didn't commit crimes.
Yeah.
Or as heinous crimes, they still committed some crimes, or the cults that don't commit crime also contribute to how we as a society view cults.
Yeah.
Because, some cults, it's just a bunch of people living in the woods doing whatever.
Reproducing with themselves.
Yeah. Out here looking like freaking the Blue Man Group. And obviously there's the cults that do crime. Drug trafficking, people trafficking, illegal weapons, some murders, abductions. They all just contribute to how we view cults in general.
Yeah. So, do you think that overall cults are bad, or do you think it just depends on your viewpoint?
I think it depends on what they believe in.
That's fair.
Their whole belief system.
Do you think there are many cults around now?
Yeah, there's plenty of cults. There's cults for the silliest things. Tie in a video game, Fallout 76, Cult of the Mothman.
That one makes me laugh so hard.
It's just a bunch. I
love it.
It's just a bunch of dudes and chicks out in Point Pleasant, worshiping the Mothman, and that's it. I mean, they shoot at you and you fight back and all that jazz, but their whole thing is just worshiping the Mothman
and his eggs.
That's it.
Yeah,
so
and
there's
a monster a lot that also tries to. Pretty sure he's tried to eat them.
Yeah. There's some people view religious groups as cults, like Christianity,
Mormons. Definitely, people always think they're cult.
Mormons, the Catholics, Christians. Scientology is a cult.
Definitely a cult. Scientology, 100%.
If you actually look into Scientology and what they believe in, it's a cult, and they're all weird as fuck.
There's a person online that will go to the Los Angeles
and he just
Scientology building
them.
and bothers the shit out of them. It's a woman and a man. They're two different ones doing it.
Yeah, he'll walk by the door and yell at like the reception person.
Oh, you know it's a cult. Stop what you're doing. You know what you're doing, and they will slam the door so fast.
We'll close the door. It's hilarious.
It is so funny. Wasn't Tom Cruise Scientology, or was that somebody else?
Yeah, it was Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is like the most notable Scientologist. I don't think he's part of it anymore.
I thought he was. I know his ex-wife left him finally.
Which one?
True, but I know he took all of them into it, and the last one was like outwardly talking shit about him for a long time about it.
Yeah, because it's weird. Scientology's weird.
So weird. We should definitely do an episode about Scientology.
Yeah,
that is just.
We'll be careful with that one because they'll see you.
Bring it.
They'll actually see you. Or another.
It's not defamation if it's true.
Or another one is also Fallout 4 and the Nuka World DLC. There's the cult of Habology.
I forgot about that one.
They worship fucking what's his name? Something a dude with like a telescopes or some shit like that. And they believe that if you take them to one of those amusement rides that spin really fast and they suction you to the wall, they'll go to space because they think it's a real spaceship. And if you mess up the wiring or whatever, it'll go fast enough and it'll kill all of them. If you don't do that, they'll all live and they'll be like, oh, well, this is stupid.
Here we go. Okay. In Fallout 4, Habologists are a cult that believes minds are clouded by neurodynes, which are spirits of the dead or energies from suppressors. Through a process called alignment, they use zeta radiation to destroy neurodynes, hoping to achieve enlightenment and join their leader, the Starfather, on the planet Quetzal.
Yeah. If you, like, saying all that, that's just a lot of words.
That's a lot of words.
Some of them, I mean, some of those words are real things, but a lot of these other things are just made up nonsense. Cults are also really crazy. They're crazy people.
Yeah. The fact that you can get one person who's like, I want to control all these people, and he can get these people to just full on follow him no matter what he says is terrifying. Like, what was that cult that had everybody mass suicide? Because they were like, if we suicide ourselves and we kill each other all at the same time, we will go to heaven.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I don't remember.
That was a big one, too.
Yeah.
That one was a huge one.
Yeah, and then, like, they pop up in TV shows.
All the time. It is a great thing for us to all make fun of, apparently.
Yeah, like, there's an episode of Family Guy where Meg joins a cult on accident because she wants to, feel like she belongs to something. And she accidentally joins a cult.
Which is
hilarious. Like one of the early seasons.
Yeah. There's a whole TV show about a lady who leaves a cult in Utah, I think. And she goes into normal world and she has no idea what she's doing. There's a whole TV show about that one.
Yeah. Or there's the game Cult of the Lamb. I've never played it.
I still want to play it with you.
But, we're getting off the point here.
Well, I mean, we were talking about cults, so we're really not yet, but still.
But,
Cults are wild, guys.
Yeah. Definitely just look into some of them. Some of them are really interesting. There's like a whole video on YouTube where it's a cult iceberg, where it's like the surface level ones where everyone knows about it, and it starts getting to like the really fucked up ones.
Yeah, we should. I think one of our future episodes is cults because we went to the Waco one and we got
the Branch Davidians.
Yeah, we got pictures and stuff for an episode. So looking at closing stuff.
Real quick though, before we do that, I think it's funny, or it's not really funny. It's just weird.
Ironic.
No, it's weird that there's some people who like idolize these serial killers,
right?
And they fall in love with them. Like there's some women I've seen on like Facebook or like screenshots of Facebook where it's like some woman who's like madly in love with Ted Bundy.
Oh yeah, no, that is an actual psychological issue. So every serial killer that has ever been has a following of women.
Yeah.
And there have been some that get put in prison just to try to be with them and will do bad things just to try to get their attention. There are authors who will fall in love with each and every serial killer. Like there's one, I don't remember what her name is, but she got into a relationship with like 3 or 4 different serial killers at like in her life because she kept wanting to write about them, and then she would fall in love with them. And then they would discard her because she wasn't useful to them anymore, and she would move on to the next one.
Yeah.
I mean, there's tons of women who've done that, and it's psychotic.
Yeah, it's wild. And then, of course, some people like who like commit like a single killing or whatever, and then like, oh, I was inspired by so and so to do it, and those are just crazy people.
Yeah, the
Copycat
copycatters.
killers.
Dude, they're so stupid.
Yeah.
I get it. Like, you want to, if somebody's your idol, whether it's a terrible fucking idol choice, but whatever,
you want
to be like them, and you want to do like them, and you want to live their life, and then, you do that, and you're fucking retarded. But
yeah.
like, it's a whole thing. But anyways, so the attribution certainty ranges from proven, like D'Angelo, Gacy, Bundy, Chikatilo, Milat, and Kraft, to partially verified, DeSalvo's DNA in one Boston's case, to unresolved legends like the Ripper and the Zodiac. Then, of course, we had the forensic evolution, especially DNA and genealogy, which has reframed decades-old series and refined the evidentiary bar for linking cases. And then the current Austin reality is that significant community concern around Lady Bird Lake deaths, persistent APD statements of no serial evidence there, and a separate active probe linking two murders by DNA. These are distinct narratives and must not be conflated. These are, that's some terrifying things to think about. And like I said, this is not going to be the only 2 episodes that we do about serial killers, because there's a lot that I feel like we should touch on.
Yeah.
A lot of big names and small names, and I definitely do want to hit on some females, because we don't think that they're there, but they're there.
Yeah, they're not as publicized as like everyone else,
which I think is retarded. Because I don't know about you, but a female who is just murdering people just to murder them is terrifying.
Yeah, or like there's one that I can think of. There's this old woman, like about between like the eras of World War I, World War II, where she was killing people and turning them into soap.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. Or during World War II, during the bombing raids on Britain, there was someone going around killing people.
There's been female nurses killing people during wars, being like, "Oh, I was being the angel of mercy." No, the bitch, you were killing people.
Or there's like serial killers, the ones during wartime. Like I said, the one during the bombing raids during Britain. Or there's we could have talked about Josef Mengele.
I've heard of him, yeah.
Yeah, the angel of death from Auschwitz.
Yeah.
I think it was Auschwitz. One of the concentration camps where he was doing these like horrible experiments on people and killing them. Yeah,
there's a lot. We'll definitely make a list and figure out which ones we want to put on the next episodes, because it's going to be a 2-parter like this one where we break it in, because I don't know about you guys, but it gets a little heavy after a while.
Yeah.
So next episode, we are going to pivot from serial predators to the black market pipeline that fed anatomy schools and curiosity cabinets, from Burke and Hare's resurrectionists to 19th century U.S. grave robbing rings and the legal reforms they formed. Tune in for a forensic history of stolen remains and the laws written in response.
Thanks for wandering through history with us on Echoes of the Past.
If you liked what you heard, subscribe, rate us, and tell that one friend who still quotes fun facts at parties.
And remember, history may repeat itself,
but we promise not to. See you in the next Echo.